Any questions and I'll
Yeah,
answer.
sure. Well,
Go.
thank you very much. It's the Rockin' FM 93.7, and it's your main man here for your Brown Life and Direct here with the greatest of all time, Bryce and Brown Accounting Services, and we are here talking to Andrew Brown. Mr. Andrew Brown, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How's everybody doing?
Wonderful, wonderful.
That's good.
We are very delighted to conduct this interview with you today and to ask you some brief questions about what kind of accounting services do you offer the community?
Okay. Well, generally, Bryce Brown Accounting Services, we specialize in taxation. So tax planning, tax preparation for self-employed individuals, small corporations, and also regular working people who get T4s.
Interesting, interesting. After the tax season is over,
Hmm.
um, who are the people that need to catch up on their tax uh, requirements that they should be coming to see you even after they have filed in their regular
Yeah.
tax as required by the government? What are the follow-up services that you expect them to come and check with you to make sure that they are in proper standing with the government to avoid anything that would trigger them paying back or whatever? What advice, what consultation, or what information can you release now to the general public so that they will know what they're supposed to do if they're not already doing it? In that way, they will be doing the right thing by coming to see you or as listening to this now, and also by providing the information where they can reach you properly, sir.
That's a big question, so I'll break it down.
Yes.
Generally what happens is that people come in April or thereabouts to get their taxes done.
Yes.
And usually the correspondence from the government will dictate what they do next.
Okay.
Generally what happens is when you get your envelope, your notice of assessment, if there's a reassessment, you should contact whoever did your taxes
Okay.
right away so that problem can be solved.
Right.
Different organizations have different filing requirements. Like a self-employed person, they have till June 15th. A regular person has till April 30th, and a corporation has a fiscal year end. So
Okay.
depending on their year end, that's when they would come. It's always advisable to come in and do tax planning. So whoever you're using for your tax services, you should go in like, maybe near the end of the year for RSP contribution advice and that kind of stuff. So it should be constant communication with your accountant to sort of keep you up to speed on things, because things in taxes change all the time.
Interesting. Thank you very much. That's a very, very beautiful and elaborated question. And I believe that our listeners will learn something very, very beautiful about how the tax system work and the reason why you are in business helping people financial. I will refer to you as a financial doctor.
Yes.
You know, we need to go
Well,
and
there's
see
physical,
our
there's physical health and then there's financial
sure
health.
health. Exactly.
They go hand in hand.
They go hand in hand.
I think what I find generally in our community is there's a fear to ask questions.
Okay.
So one of the things I do with my business is I make sure it's a free consult.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't charge you to call or come in or email and ask a question.
Right.
Because I mean, whether I did your taxes or not, you need the information. Everybody's dollar is very important to them in these tough times. So you want to make sure that we're minimizing their
So
tax
true.
liability
So true.
as much as possible. So I'm always a believer in free consults. If you have a question, don't hesitate to email or call. I'll answer it. I mean, I don't know what relationship people have with their accountant,
Right.
but that's the relationship they should have, where they should be able to just call anytime, drop in, ask a question, get it solved, and get on with life.
Wonderful. This is amazing. I am actually very, very impressed with the information that you've given to us so far. But there are some little nitty-gritty things that I hear people talk about when it comes to issue of taxes.
So give me an example.
Example is somebody want to maximize their tax return, and a lot of people go approach it, from different angle. What are the legally acceptable way that somebody who is making X amount of dollar can actually get more than they're supposed to get, or get what they are entitled to get instead of getting lower than what some accountant make them get?
I'll give the best example I can give is that I'll go back is that there's tax avoidance and there's tax evasion. Tax avoidance is legal.
Okay.
So taking advantage of RSPs and any other programs, tax-free savings account, that kind of stuff, that's considered tax avoidance, which is legal.
Right.
Tax evasion is when you purposely do something to minimize your tax burden that is bordering on illegal, and the government can charge you and recoup their losses. However, Depending on the situation, unfortunately, well, or fortunately for me, but unfortunately for everybody else, the Canadian tax system is very convoluted. So in that sense, what it means is that different scenarios require different things. I will give a brief example. Like if you're self-employed, what I find is most people forget things like how much driving they really do, and they're very conservative. Some people also forget the use of their home as an office. So if you're self-employed and you work from home, you should be able to claim your mortgage, interest, property taxes, any maintenance and repairs to fix up an office in the home. Those are things that sometimes people don't realize they can claim. But it's very individual. What I always caution people is don't compare your tax situation with somebody else. Because you don't really know what's fully going on in their world. It's always good to talk to a consultant and figure out all the options available, because a good person will ask you the necessary questions to figure out what you need. And it's very hard to answer general questions. It really comes down to, you know, if you make this much, you know, there's no window based on income. It's what's going on in your life. Like if you have kids, are you maximizing your childcare expenses? Like a kid under 6, you're allowed to claim up to $7,000.
Kid under 6,
you're allowed to claim up to $7,000 for each child.
Each child,
above 6, it's $4,000. What sometimes people don't realize is just because you're giving the money to a relative, they don't claim it.
I see.
But you can.
You can claim that money.
As long as you're paying someone over 18 and you can fully prove the transfer of funds, you can claim it. But a lot of people feel because they're paying a relative or a sibling or something like that, they're not allowed to claim it. And that's not always true. I would dig deeper, and if you can prove that the money changed hands, then it's a legitimate expense. So it's really, taxes in Canada are one of those things where it's very individual, and it's a lot of probing and asking questions, and basically just sitting down and talking. You know, the more questions I ask, the more I can understand what's going on, the better I can help you.
Wow.
I think I'm talking too much.
No, really. Honestly, this is what we need in our community. Knowledge is power. And I see a lot of people being deprived of privileges or access to money that is entitled to them, but they don't know how to get it. And I believe that Andrew Brown, you are in the right position to provide the information that our people need, whether they are single mother, whether they're married, or they're in a relationship, or they are by themselves, or whatever the situation that they find themselves in regarding to paying taxes in this country. But I believe that you are the right person that they can come to and ask you questions. So I see here that you are still at 2570 Eglinton Avenue West. Is that where your office is still located?
That's where it's located. What I would suggest, if you've come across listeners, or if there are listeners who have situations on their tax returns, you can always revisit it. A tax return that's filed can always be adjusted. As long as you have the documentation, and there's no time limit. I mean, a notice of assessment can be appealed up to a year after the fact. And if there's something like you missed an expense or something like that, there's no harm in, you know, writing a letter to the government and saying, hey, look, I missed this expense. And 9 times out of 10, they will include it as long as you have the proper documentation. So any tax return that's filed can be revisited and corrected if there's a mistake that you can prove.
What service, Mr. Brown, can you offer individuals that they receive a certain amount of money, they're filing their income tax, they receive a certain amount of money from the government, and then later on the government is writing them back saying, for whatever reason, we have overpaid you, now you're owing us this money, and for that reason, for the next couple of years, we're going to seize your income tax, we're going to seize your
it depends on the reason.
Your GST and all of that. So what
there is with CRA, there is an appeal process. So what would happen in that kind of situation is if there was a notice of assessment or reassessment where an amount was determined to be owed by the Revenue Canada or CRA, you visit whoever prepared the taxes, or I do appeals and audits. That would be the process where you appeal it and say, you know, I filed everything correctly as I was supposed to. I'm not sure how you came up with this amount. I'll give an example. A lot of times what happens is that there's something called a pre-assessment review.
Pre-assessment review.
Yes, a pre-assessment review is when you file your tax return, especially if it's been e-filed, the government will send you a letter asking to see something like as simple as Metro passes. A lot of people disregard the letter. If you do not respond to a letter, they automatically reassess you. So in a lot of cases, all it is getting that letter again and just responding to it. So sometimes it's as simple as that. Sometimes when you have kids, they will ask to see proof of that child. It sounds very stupid. because obviously you wouldn't lie that you had a kid.
Mhm.
But they ask for proof.
Right.
I have a 9-year-old and I've been asked 4 times
Wow.
for
Wow.
proof of my child.
Okay.
So it happens. But if you don't respond to the letter, even though it's obvious that you have a child, they will disallow your child tax benefit. They will do everything like you don't have a child,
Right.
until you respond.
Wow.
So sometimes it's just a matter of responding. Don't be scared of those brown envelopes.
So now, thank you very much for responding, to that question eloquently, and that's a lot of information there.
Sorry.
Now,
Sorry.
So
No, that's good.
so for those individual, I know there are tons of people out there that have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or more tax challenges one way or the other.
Yeah.
And they have been going like from pillar to post, and they're trying to figure out where to resolve these issues. From my understanding, and within this our conversation right now, I have established that you are indeed a tax doctor.
I would
And
like to think
will-
so.
Yes. So I want you to tell us where these people can come and meet with you. And I from what you've told me so far, the consultation is free.
Yeah.
But if you have to do anything further, then from there you take it.
Yeah, there would be a charge, but it would
Right.
be determined based on what I have to do.
Right. So
I
can
mean,
you please provide,
again,
how is your consultation and where you consult with them?
well, generally, I'm located at 2570 Eglinton Avenue West.
Did you say 2570
Yeah,
Eglinton?
2570 Eglinton Avenue West.
Okay.
Generally, what we do is we do it by appointment only, so that there's no rush. You have the time you need to explain your situation. So
Okay.
you can call us to make an appointment, 416-653-1333, or you can even email us, info at thetaxman.ca. And any way is fine, and we set up an appointment. Basically, you come in and I solve the problem.
All right. Can you please repeat the phone number again, just for our listening audience to catch it very slowly, sir?
416
Yes.
653
653
1333.
1333. Thank you very much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Brown. We are very delighted to have this conversation with you on behalf of Rockin' FM 93.7. For our listening audience there, thank you very much for listening. And if you have any tax challenge, the tax doctor is in the house. Do not hesitate to give him a call.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
And we'll always be bringing you information that will make you happy. Thank you.
Thank you.